To get tonight's show underway, let's bring in the 19th head coach of the BYU men's basketball team, the former Clayton State Laker, the coach of your Cougars, Kevin Young. Good to see you, Coach. Good to see you again. All right, welcome back.
Thank you.
Good group here.
Yes. I was just scanning the crowd.
Yeah.
Good to be back.
All right. I mentioned it in the intro to you. It's the first time you've had to experience something new at BYU in terms of not walking out of the Marriott Center with a win. That was a little unusual for you on Tuesday.
It was, and it was a good basketball game. Texas Tech played well. Thought just a high-level game. I was looking at the stats after all the lead changes and stuff like that, and our execution down the stretch was disappointing, defensively mainly. But just the course of the game, we got, I think, 12 wide open catch and shoot threes, which we made 0 of. And so, on a night where we go 12 of 21 from the free throw line, and then you combine it with a poor three-point shooting night and even finishing at the rim too. Felt like we left a lot of money on the table and they capitalized. And
in a close game, any of those average type things happen, you're a winner.
Yeah, bottom line is we lost the game. We felt like you play that game 10 times, we probably win 9 of them. But the bottom line is they got it done. Give them credit. Thought they made really timely threes. Hawkins was hot all night, but they made 2 big transition threes that really I thought was the difference in the game.
Okay, off the floor, school's back in. Your guys are now getting used to a new schedule once again.
They are, yeah. So it's, I always have to remind myself that there's classes associated with this. But yeah, guys are back. They did a really good job academically first semester. So it's kind of back to business as usual, which last semester we were practicing a little bit later in the afternoon. We kind of were able to claw an hour of that back, which I like, being able to practice a little bit earlier. Give us a little bit of more of a routine that I like. So
folks know your guys then have to handle pretty much all their classwork in the morning hours. Is that the way it goes?
Yep. So we go, we practice kind of right after lunch, and guys are dialed in with classes in the mornings, and then allows us to kind of have the afternoons.
What about this league, by the way? You go from Houston last weekend, best field goal percentage defensive team in the country, to what was the best shooting team in the country in Texas Tech. The very next game, you see both ends of the spectrum there.
Yeah, it's every team has a different identity, different style, different strengths and weaknesses, and so you got to be able to adjust from game to game, which I thought we did. I was actually really happy with our defense against a pretty good offensive team, as you mentioned. We let them loose a couple threes there late, which hurt us, but for the most part, I thought our defense was where we wanted it to be. Again, the execution of the game plan down the stretch was not where it needed to be, and for me, it's you kind of upset about the way our early season schedule was. We didn't face a whole lot of adversity, and so now we're kind of going through it in conference play, and so we're just having to kind of experience a lot of this stuff for the first time on the fly when it matters most.
And you're looking to bounce back too from a couple of back-to-back losses. You never want to see that stretch prolong. Obviously, get a nice chance for a bounce back here on the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Our guys are hungry. Our guys want to, they want to go out there and obviously play well, play better. I think individually, there's some guys who are disappointed with how they've played in the last couple of games, and obviously collectively, we haven't been able to get done what we'd like, and so this will be a good opportunity against a well-coached TCU team to go on the road for the first time in league here and get a win.
We'll head to Fort Worth tomorrow, where a winter storm is on its way out, but it always makes things crazy in Texas when the winter weather arrives. Not sure how much you monitor that stuff. Well, what was the craziest travel story you've had in your coaching career?
Oof, there's been a couple.
Weather-related.
Yeah, weather-related. Oh, man. Well, probably the worst one was we were playing the Mavericks in China in a preseason, 2 preseason games. So we played Miami and Philly. This is when I was with the Sixers. Played Miami and Philly, flew to Canada somewhere. I don't even know what city. They're all the same. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. And we ended up landing in a winter storm there. And sitting on the runway what seemed like 12 hours or something, then flew to China. So that was, I think we were on the plane for like 36 hours or something like that. So that's a pretty hard one to beat.
Luckily, we have a straight shot to Fort Worth tomorrow, so nothing that. All right, let's take a look back at Tuesday's game. You had Texas Tech coming into Provo looking for its first ever win in the Marriott Center. They were looking to sweep their Beehive State swing because they had won at Utah on the weekend. It was a tight game from start to finish. Let's take a look now at some stats and highlights presented by Intermountain Health, official medical provider for BYU Athletics. We'll highlight players as we like to do. Fousseyni Traore, 14 points in the game, Coach, the most he's had in the game since the Ole Miss game in late November. He was 5 for 10, made his free throws. He's a great free throw shooter on the year, by the way, 29 for 34. And now he plays the team that he had 21 against last year in TCU. Foose looked like himself again.
Yeah, he did. I mean, when teams choose to play him one-on-one in the post, he's able to, get to his spot. Even when he's giving up some height, he just got put that big shoulder into you and can create space. But he's been a hub for us offensively most of the year, either scoring against one-on-one or if they do try to double team him, he can really pass out of there too. So he's a guy I like to go to, when it slows down, particularly at the end of the game. We try to go to him quite a bit, and for the most part, he delivered for us.
Mentioned that Foose had his most points in a game since the Ole Miss game. That also goes for Yegor Demon. Yegor had 12 against Texas Tech. That was his best scoring day since late November. Always a good assister. He had 6 assists or more. Now he has 6 assists or more in 3 consecutive games. Also throwing a few steals into the mix. And he's working his way back after about 4 weeks away.
Yeah, I thought this was the most aggressive he's looked offensively, in a while since coming back from that injury. I thought he played with more confidence, played a bit more free. The passing, as you mentioned, is always ever present for him. It was good to see just the ball go in the basket for him.
And how's he feeling, by the way? Do you think is he looking more like himself physically, health-wise?
Yeah, I think he's every day getting a little bit more confidence. It's allowed him to. The healthier he's gotten, it's allowed him to get back in the gym. He's a routine guy, likes getting in the mornings to get his shots up, and so I think he's a guy who's gets confidence from his work, and so it's allowed him to do that, and hopefully we'll see the fruits of those labors on the court.
Okay, last guy we're going to spotlight is our studio guest tonight in Mowat Mag. He had 11 against Texas Tech. That ties his BYU single game high, 5 for 9 from the field. 5 rebounds is his BYU high as well. And he's a good free throw shooter on the year. He's just taken 10, but he has made 9. What looking more comfortable in your system?
Yeah, no, he's come on strong, since the Wyoming game where Richie went down. And Mo's come in and really given us a lot of energy on the defensive end. Offensively, he's found ways to score. I think I think his veteranness kind of just shows where he just figures out a way to impact the game, on both ends of the court. And so I think his intensity is something that has really stood out. And I'm hopeful that it will kind of rub off on the other guys.
And there's pretty much nothing he hasn't seen. You bring in a guy with that much experience, you know what you're getting when you bring in a guy like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's that was one of the attractive things about him when we were looking at him in this summer. Here's a guy who's battle tested, in a power conference, and played for a really good defensive coach at Rutgers, and he's brought an edge to us on that end of the floor.
Okay, final stat board from BYU and Texas Tech. The Red Raiders did come away with the 5-point win. BYU did a lot of good things on this night. And again, as Coach mentioned, a lot of what they wanted to get, they got. It was just one of those nights when the ball wasn't going in the hoop with as much frequency as the team would have preferred. And so it is a tough 5-point loss. BYU now falls to 1-2 in Big 12 play as Texas Tech goes to 2-1. Some key stats in terms of what BYU likes to do under you, and then in terms of what Texas Tech was allowing. I know the offensive and defensive rebound percentage numbers are a big thing for you. How did you feel like the team performed that way on the glass?
Yeah, I didn't think we rebounded the ball at the rate I was hoping we would have. They got too many offensive rebounds and second chance points. A lot of that was Williams is a handful down low. We were double teaming him, which kind of puts you in rotations, which can make some of the blocking out difficult. And that was a little bit disappointing. I thought we took care of the ball. And you have only 8 turnovers. Usually you're going to be able to win the game, and it's really a hard thing to overcome a poor shooting night. You know, it's just, I learned this a long time ago. You make shots, you win the game. And I know that sounds like common sense, but when it doesn't go in, it's really hard to overcome, especially when you feel like you're getting good looks.
There was a while there where they were talking about the NBA, and the cliche became make or miss league, is what they said, right?
Absolutely, and I don't think that's unique to the NBA. You know, shot making hides a lot of things, honestly, and so, you know, when you lose a basketball game, it just, of course, you know, you want to learn from wins and losses, but obviously it stings more when you lose, and so you're looking at the film with a more of a fine-tooth comb, and you're really just, you force yourself to try to, you know, get better and fix issues. So I'm hoping the silver lining is it's caused us to examine things at a deeper level. You know, we feel like we'll be better off for it, but, you know, that sounds good in a coach's show, but you got to go out and win the next game.
Let's take a look at the team sheet check, as we like to do. This is some of the team sheet rankings that shows up on the committee sheets they will be looking at, and you see still a top 50 team in net, top 50 in KenPom. The BPI and the KPI, those are looking at quality on one side, BPI, and the KPI is more about resume. And you're right on the fringe there with Joe Lonardi right now. This will mean a lot more in about a month or so. But again, a lot of things that reflect well for your first year with the program.
Yeah, I mean, we you know, we have work to do, and our guys know that. You know, we've got guys. I was talking to Trevin. You know, that similar instance last year where they dropped one, I think it was Cincinnati early on at home, and then obviously those guys responded. So it's great to have guys with perspective in the locker room that can, you know, shed light to not just their teammates, but to me as well. And, you know, we have a great opportunity to go, you know, get a big road win and then continue to build up that resume. But, you know, again, our guys know that we have work to do. We got to get some, not just wins, but we got to get some quality wins. And I think, you know, I liked where we're headed. You know, it's one thing if you're losing ball games and you just don't think you're on the right path. You know, we feel like we're doing a lot of good things, and we got to stay the course.
And 1-2 is the same record that BYU opened the Big 12 with last year, and Cougs end up with a winning record, make the tournament. All those things are still in front of you.
Obviously. Yeah, I mean, no doubt. And I mean, every year is obviously different. You know, and it's just coaching and sports, I think, are just you have to go like this. You know, you beat ASU by 20, you know, you could very easily be happy on the farm. You lose by a lot at Houston, you're thinking the world's in it, you know, and it's always somewhere in the middle. It's never as good as it feels. It's never as bad as it feels. It's always kind of somewhere in the middle. So, you know, my big thing is just trying to get better every day. And, you know, I think if we do that, we'll be in a good position.
Well, in a league with a steady diet of quad one opportunities, those quality chances Coach is talking about, BYU on Saturday starts a stretch of 5 consecutive games that are currently right now quads 2 and 3. That can always change depending on how teams do, of course, but a great chance for BYU to make a move in the league standings. Here's a schedule check. We see 3 games already in the books at 1 and 2, then at TCU, home to Oklahoma State, at Utah, home to Baylor, and at UCF. And so it's an interesting stretch here that does give you, again, a chance to make a move. But in the Big 12, you know, there's never an easy week, and a quad one's just around the corner every time. And so it never lets up.
No, it doesn't. And I think the moral of the story is you got to, and kind of, I told the guys this today, you got to make the next play. You have to have a next play mentality. And so for us, it's what's the task at hand right now? It's TCU, and that's what we have to worry about. And then, you know, once that's done, we move on to the next play. But we got to be focused on the here and now, make the next play that's in front of you, and then worry about the other stuff later.
All right, that is our opening segment of the show with Coach. As we take a break, we remind you that your day-to-day Cougar sports play-by-play happens on BYU Sports Nation. Join Spencer and Jaron weekdays noon Eastern on BYUtv and BYU Radio. When we come back, assistant coach Tim Fanning is profiled in this week's Deep Blue feature as BYU basketball with Kevin Young continues. Stay with us.